So we're playing another Cecil list. Now, I want to say something really fast. Like, I'm starting to understand more and more that the main thing Cecil is doing in Modern is it lets you play aggressive Nethergoyf decks. Nethergoyf, very strong MH3 card that just has not had a buddy. You know, it's a lot like how Ragavan has Dragon Rage's Channeler, or vice versa. You have two really strong red 1-drops. Or how Guide of Souls has Ocelot Pride. You have two really strong white 1-drops. Nethergoyf has been by himself, and it's just really important to have redundancy to your turn 1 plays in these aggressive black decks. So that's kind of the big thing. Now, moving on from that, like there are several different ways you can play these kind of aggressive black Nethergoyf decks. We've got this one. We have the Delirium build, which we actually haven't played on stream yet. I have a mono black K-Command deck. We've got the Rakdos build that we were doing really well with. So just kind of keep that in mind when we're talking here. And so I was kind of looking at some older lists here, and I was reminded there's a chatter last week who was trying to play Stubborn Denial in Hollow One. And I was like, well, you really just do not want to be playing Burning Inquiry in your Stubborn Denial deck. And so that was kind of one big thing I didn't like about the list. But I just kind of sat down thinking how I really liked Cecil in the Stubborn Denial shell. I really liked Nethergoyf. And then Goyf is also really good in the Hollow One shell. So I just kind of sat down to build this. And this build is a little bit weird. It's very much like, it's just not a Hollow One deck in the sense that we're not spinning the wheel. We're not we're not just like seeing what happens. We're also not just trying to crap out as much power and toughness as possible, because we are we do that to some extent. Like, we're playing a bunch of cheap, powerful, efficient threats: Marco Sharko, Cecil, Goyf, Frog, powering them up with Looting, Street Wraith, Winternight Stories, and Phoenix, and using Stubborn Denial and Unholy Heat to slow games down and interact with our opponents. So one thing I also really like is that despite that this is an archetype that is relatively graveyard focused with cards like Goyf and Phoenix, and to a lesser extent Winternight Stories, Shark, Frog, Hollow One, and Cecil are all really potent threats that don't care about the graveyard. And so it's just really nice to have like a blend, like a good mix of threats that care about the graveyard and that do not. I think that's the mana base was like a little weird to build. I don't think I'm gonna get too in depth on like on all that, but I was at like 19 lands, 2 surveil lands. At one point, I started with 3 basics. Really disliked 3 basics. Down to 1 after playing with 2 for a little bit. I had 2 Watery Graves. Hated the second Watery Grave. How did I come to the conclusion to omit FOMO for the list? Well, so the answer to this question is I wanted every other card instead. That's the simple answer. There's maybe a more complicated answer out there. But another thing, kind of simply put, it doesn't enable Stubborn Denial, which is like super big hit in any deck that plays Stubborn Denial. It's also just like weirdly high on the curve too, especially with the Winternight Stories. Like, you don't really want to draw Winternight Stories without looting that often. If you loot Winternight Stories away, it becomes this really potent card advantage engine. Casting is fine, but this is why we're only playing 3 also, because we just really don't want to like have 2 copies in our opening hand ever, or as not very often. But yeah, I like, if you think that FOMO fits somewhere in here, I was not of the opinion that I wanted to play a FOMO over any of these cards. Like, the 1-mana spells are just so potent in these builds. Sounds like the difference between being an aggro versus this being a mid-range deck. Yeah, so one thing that's kind of interesting is when you talk about tempo decks, tempo decks are just mid-range decks in my opinion. Like, the definition of mid-range is a strategy that can pivot from aggro or control depending on the matchup. And that is like exactly what tempo is, but it's just like when you have counter spells in your deck, it's tempo, and when you have discard spells in your deck, it's mid-range, So this is something that when Is It Murktide was the most popular deck in Modern, there was so many people talking about how there were no mid-range decks, and it's just like, well, the most popular deck is a mid-range deck. It's just it's kind of funny. But this one is certainly more of a hybrid too. It's not a pure tempo deck. It's not a pure aggro deck. It's like it's definitely this is definitely more aggro than it is tempo. I think the new timeline color will be used for Midrange decks. I don't think I've seen that card. Do not have the new names of the cards memorized except for the Space Goy, if I could recognize that one. If you want to ask me about a new card, I always ask that you describe what the card is or link it, because I don't know. I'm not very good with names. I don't know. I don't know. I say this usually. Are there other streamers who just know the card names after a day? Because that's not me. It's one with Warp Black from Graveyard. I didn't see that one, so I guess you'll have. We can maybe go through Mythic Spoiler. I do not recall that one. What was my take on Cosmogoyf? I mean, the card's interesting. Cosmogoyf is like, it's really good with Detective's Phoenix. It's interesting with Necro. It's interesting in the Relic Ketchamo Shells. It's interesting with Psychic Frog. All these things have me like wanting to cast the card. Probably gonna go Steamvent's Blood Crypt. All of these things make me like very interested in casting the card. I don't think it's going to be a super big modern staple, but it does look like a playable modern card. Another thing is like compared to other Goyfs that just like get destroyed by graveyard hate. This card, it's not like you can shrink this Goyf with like by putting cards back in your opponent's graveyard. That's not really a thing. Link to a good spell. Don't usually like to open the Reddit links. They get a little weird. Hold on, let me see if there's Mythic Spoiler. I guess I can reframe them. Consult the star charts. Instant kicker. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Put one of those cards into your hand. If the spell is kicked, put 2 into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom. Okay, so very similar to Pillage the Bog. I think it's really funny when you have. Okay, what did they reveal? They revealed a Saga and they played the Saga. Like this card is like the closest to Pillage the Bog I've ever seen on another card. It's just like, look at the top X is the number of lands, except it's just half as powerful, but it's just a blue instant instead of a blue-black sorcery, which is funny. Yeah, I think this card is great. I'm not sure. Yeah, for 4 mana, it's like basically a Memory Deluge at 4 mana, but sees less cards. But obviously, just the fact that you can cast it for 2 mana is huge. And then you could also like top deck it and try to have an impactful spell. That also matters a lot. All right, do I care? I think I do not really care if our opponent, if they chump block here, since the Haywire Might can get rid of my Phoenix, so I think I'm okay not hitting them and letting them, letting them block the Might. But they don't block, so we'll just discard the Phoenix, we'll grow the Sharko. We draw a copy of Unholy Heat. Trying to think about how important my life total is. I think I can afford to get my basic Swamp. It's a little bit interesting here, because I have so many red costs, but I can just fire off the Heat on this Might end of turn at the very least. Yeah, but I like this Consult the Stars card. Okay, Famish Worldsire. Oh, this looks like a leak. So let's wait for the official spoilers on these. We have a K command. We do have a K command. Is there anything we want to do here? I don't think so. Making spawns is kind of interesting. Like, are they going to try to block and make a construct? Also, do they have main deck Graveyard Hate? That'll be pretty interesting. Street Wraith is obviously a really, really nice pickup. Okay, so if I cast this Faithless Looting, then I don't have the Heat up, which that seems like a problemo. So I think I'm just going to put it on the Shark, which will shrink the Goyf down to 2/3, which I think is okay. They spoiled a ton of official spoilers. I read it at like 1080p. Weird. Weird all the cards eventually. Yeah, I think I need to save the heat for a Brood Scale or a Fleshraker right now. But hyping up Consult the Stars in blue-black sex frogs builds because of the pseudo dig through time, expressive regrets. Yeah. I mean, that's a good reason. You know, Frog is, you know, not a deck that necessarily is known for wanting to go super duper late, which is like Consult the Stars to me seems more like a more traditional control card than it seems like a Frog card, but that doesn't mean you don't play it in Frog either. Punish for Swamp. Yeah. I did. I was pretty close to getting another Blood Crypt, but you can also just get like Glaring Fleshraker out of games sometimes. Alright, they grab a Blade, then they are casting an Eldrazi spell, probably a Fleshraker. No, it is a Brood Scale. So if they go equip, we heat, they can adapt in response, so we need to respond to the adapt, I guess. But if they have a Ballista, then we get cooked. Okay. Seems like this worked. Unless they have like Dismember. Protection spell. Okay, it worked. Maybe it's good in the deck you played yesterday. The Eldrazi deck, maybe. That is a deck that gets a lot of lands into play. Alright, well. Could have one thing up here, I guess. It should be fine. If I heat the 2/2, then we hit for 10, which is not quite lethal. Nice to be able to protect against another K command, though, which is certainly like the main thing you'd ever have to be worried about here. They think about chump blocking, they think about not chump blocking, they decide to chump block. Okay, I'm going to bring in the Consign to Memories. I think I might like the first Pyroclasm. Maybe two, with our like kind of light removal suite here. I think there's a solid chance our opponent's going to bring in a good amount of graveyard hate, and we can like kind of like try to juke it like this. I want to kind of Winternight on the draw too. It can be kind of hard to tap out for that. How me see the vision? Every spaceship has looked like dog water meme machine. I mean, these cards are super unique and different and hard to evaluate. I really encourage you when like a brand new card type comes out to just try to understand it, or maybe understand it's not the word I want to use, but just try to digest it. Think if there's anything interesting. Like one of them is like literally a Tellurian Academy if you activate it, and it's just a land. Otherwise, I don't think this card will be good. But like in it, you know, you do make gigantic creatures in modern artifact decks. Like could you use your constructs to charge this up pretty easily and have a Tellurian Academy? You could. It doesn't actually seem like that's going to be something you're going to want to do, but you just have to keep an open mind when these cards have been out for like a day and they're like super unique and really, really tough to evaluate. Thought about consigning that, but decided to just try to hold up for something like this instead. I think I'm going to get the second Steam Vents. Every station card so far seems like a limited only, but I'm willing to be wrong. Well, you're also Commander. I mean, they might be that. I don't know. I'm just, what I'm saying is I don't know how good or bad these cards are. And I just generally encourage a more thoughtful approach than meme dog water, you know what I mean? The use charge counters could be something cooked there. Okay. I can speak on this. As someone who has brewed extensively with charge counters, the plan of putting charge counters on these cards to get their abilities with stuff like Core Tapper is not a thing. That is not going to be a viable strategy, I think. Guess I hold up the stub here while I do this. Okay, so do I want to discard? I think I want to discard Winternight and Blood Crypt. Maybe we'll just discard Delta, and then I can play Hollow One for 1 mana, which is it's just good to be able to do this while there's a Vexing Bauble in play, I think, and then I can just hold up Stub/Heat. So it's just like, yeah, putting charge counters with like the tools we have is not going to be a thing. Like there is a 3 mana artifact that says if you have 3 charge counters on it, you tap it, you take an extra turn. Like this is something we've played. You know, it's not the worst plan ever, but like that isn't, in my opinion, an optimal way to like build around charge counters. Like it's just, if you have charge counters, it's better to just make a ton of mana and draw a ton of cards, and you'll win the game without those kind of effects. So it's like you don't really want to be. Okay, so they equip onto the construct. So if I heat this construct, then these still trade. So if I heat here, I am just kind of tapping out of my ability to deal with a Brood Scale, so I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm down to Winternight again. Okay, so we'll discard the Phoenix, and then if I attack with this Hollow One, they block here. They still only have a 4/4. I think that's probably going to be fine. We are getting kind of flooded, but we have the looting in our hand, so that's not such a big problem. So yeah, I think we can go ahead and attack with this Hollow One. Any replacement for Gorse in this deck? Well, I started the stream off talking about how... all right, 5/5. I started the stream talking about how, my opinion, what Cecil does in Modern is it's the DRC to the Ragavan. It's the Onslaught Pride to the Guide of Souls. It is the second best 1 mana aggressive creature in its color that allows you to build these black-based aggro decks now. Goyf has been a great card this whole time, but it was a Ragavan without a DRC. It was a Guide of Souls without an Onslaught Pride. And now you have that secondary good black creature. Yeah, I think I need to save this for a K command. They reveal another copy of Blade of the Blood Chief. Don't need to be too scared of that, probably. Could also maybe counter Cauldron, but they have the Halfling is the problem. We do have a couple of Pyroclasms we could draw into. I think at this point we'll probably need to kill the constructs. Let me surveil. So many lands. Yeah, I think we'll heat this, despite being a little scary against a Brood Scale. There's a frog. So yeah, I guess I will go Frog Phoenix. Can I can't kill him, right? This could be 5, 6, 7, 11. Yeah, not even really very close. Well, can I bestow 2 Phoenixes? I'm definitely gonna do this one. Yeah, looks like I don't have enough evidence to collect. Well, I guess we might as well loot and look for a Heat or a Consign. Ah, my Pyroclasm. Alright, we'll keep up the stub then. Being pretty thoughtful about how they tap here. I think Brood Skull's at its best with Sephiroth. I think the Sephiroth builds look the best. I think you probably need to understand like why you'd play Sephiroth and why you'd play Chrysalis. Like, is Chrysalis just a lot better against Boros? Maybe if that's the case, then maybe you need to figure out like which is right for the metagame. But I'm starting to get the vibe that Boros is on the downswing. Okay, so let's go turn 1, Blood Crypt Cecil. Then we want to go probably Shark Cycle the Wraith. I guess the problem is if I draw Looting, then I can't cast it very effectively because I'm kind of choked on red mana. So I guess I'm going to play the Shark on turn 1 then. Yeah, this build came together really nicely. It's like, this is the closest thing to Like Grixis Shadow, I think you can play and like have like a good competitive deck that isn't just like nostalgia, you know, bait or whatever. Build came together really good. Recent data in the French Discord showed energy is around 9% last week. Yeah, that is down, right? Wait, why am I doing a parentheses? Had a nice result with Rakdos Cecil Overlord. Nice, yeah. I have mono black Cecil K command Overlord built, and a lot of people have been asking for it. I'm gonna take a little bit of time before I play it, because I think I've been playing too many like K command decks. But it's like this is definitely one we need to play. But actually, I've been on like kind of on a hot streak of brewing lately. So okay, I think I don't want them to take this. It's kind of funny that this grows the shark, but let's go ahead and cycle this. Huh. So now my Marco Sharko will be a 4-power creature. One card that overperforms Reckless Build has been Violent Urge. I definitely have liked Violent Urge. I will always caution players when they have this thought. You know, when a card like Violent Urge is overperforming, you know what I mean? It's like I cast it, I win the game, you know. And so I do like Violent Urge. I do think that card's good, but it is the kind of card that is like only good when you're ahead. You know, it's just one of these cards that does not play catch up and can be very, very bad when you're behind. So just, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I am saying be cautious when saying that Violent Urge is a card that's overperforming for you. It's very hard to evaluate those kind of cards. So this is nuts. This card being on top here. Hopefully they don't force. They do force. Dang. I guess I could have attacked with this. Made them discard their whole hand. I'm at 8. It's kind of a low life total, huh? Yeah, the Aerith Cauldron deck has been really, really solid. It definitely feels very playable. It kills fast. It grinds really well. It has a weird amount of interaction against combo decks. Do recommend. Alright, so we get hit for 1. They've got 3 cards in their hand. So we're going to game 2. I don't have a lot for this matchup, but I mostly think that you're just pretty good against them because your threats are like so cheap and powerful and resilient, and their removal spells are pretty taxed. I've been wondering if I wanted something like Thoughtseize against them, or if I was just kind of cool with this. I think I'm just going to try running it back. Can be kind of tough when you're on the draw against Frog, but you also have your own Frogs. And that's kind of always the thing with Frog. When they go like, good interaction, Frog, counterspell, counterspell. Ooh, it's like, you know. And you're on the draw, it's really tough. And then if you're on the play, it's not that bad. What deck that you enjoyed would you play if I wasn't brewing? I don't know. So I guess you're asking if I was just grinding tournaments, what deck would I be playing? And, you know, like, if my goal was to just win as much, it would be Amulet Titan. But I don't enjoy the gameplay of Amulet Titan very much. So as far as, like, decks that exist, it would probably be some kind of Frog variant. Or, like, Jeskai Control. Something probably close to, like, what Yindrik plays would be what I would grind if my goal was to just kind of grind an existing deck forever. But I really just enjoy brewing so much. It's like, you know, I've been a Commander player, a Limited player, a Cube player, a Standard player, Pioneer, Legacy, Modern Grinder, Tournament Grinder, Pro Tour player, and the thing that I enjoy the most is trying to build competitive and interesting decks. It is by far the most interesting thing in Magic to me. Can I get this out of frame? I guess I'm in grind with one of my brews. Probably like something like Rakdos Cecil or Mono Black Cecil, like the rock decks. Always enjoy grinding those. Argon, 3 months, welcome back. Hey Spike, will you place the standard Goryo version with the tracks of the future? What do you think of that deck at the moment? I assume you mean by standard. Do you mean modern? I don't like the stock builds. So one thing is like the standard stock Goryos builds, like they kind of originated here on the channel. I'm gonna put back the looting. We have played a lot of different versions and a lot of different variations, and like we've played so much Goryos, like the Goryos ephemerate stuff started here, and so it's just to me it's the kind of build that I get a little bit bored of just grinding since we've done it so much. I do think that the new card Sin from Final Fantasy is pretty interesting. I think that the card is one I really overlooked. And I found a home for Sin that's different from the Goryos build that I think is interesting. The problem is I played a different version of that deck kind of recently, so I don't know when I'm going to play that. Probably just will play it sometime this week, but it's not super high in the queue for today. Land would be nice. But this is also something, Argon, that we don't really do on this channel, is just say, today chat, we're playing stock Grixis Frog, stock Goryo, stock Titan. We're gonna explore it. It's just not very interesting to me. I like to brew. My goal, I need to say this more often. I need to be a better content creator. I need to be like, all right, what we do here on this channel is we play 2 new decks every single day. I have 2 decks ready every single day. We don't always get to both, but I've got minimum 2 ready every day. And then Fridays we play tournaments. Sometimes we play Mondays. Sometimes we play tournaments Mondays. Sometimes we play them Saturdays. That's the structure of the stream. I have 2 new decks ready all the time. I have 1 extra deck ready, 1 new deck ready on tournament days, and then we also play tournaments. So that is the express structure of the stream. That's what I like to do. I like to brew and have have 2 decks ready on regular days, one new deck ready in between rounds of tournaments. Yogi with the 29 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Better not to attack there. Well, they could just fly over the Cecil, but it is a bit weird with the life loss, so I'm not sure. So they discard a Force of Negation. We are probably going to just lose to mana screw here. Yeah. So, sometimes when it's new decks, it's like new versions of old decks too, like hybrids, evolutions of ideas. But it's not all just like you've never seen this card before. Although yesterday, no one had ever seen Lose Focus. Do you think we'll ever eventually see an ETB untapped tri-land akin to Shocks, probably with higher life cost but functionally Shockland? Probably not. People always like to meme about how this kind of power creep is inevitable, like 3-color lands, But what we've really seen in Magic over the last few years is they have moved away from power creep and they've moved into a complexity creep. All right. Well, if we could cast the frog, we were like very live here, but missed. Going to game 3. It's like. So we had the War of the Spark to Call Time they had kind of tried to move away from this, but like they kind of failed. But kind of War of the Spark to Call Time era was an explicit intentional power creep era. This was that they had a very clear stated goal that they were power creeping cards. That was what Fire Design was. Fire Design was terrible, the worst era in Magic's history. And people like they shifted course, and they shifted into a complexity creep instead, because Magic's been around so long. It's very difficult to keep iterating on the simple stuff. That's why they power creeped. Instead, they moved into a complexity creep. That's why this has so many words. That's why this has so many words. That's why this has so many words. It's a complexity creep. Now, of course, this is different from. Modern Horizons design. Modern Horizons design is power creep, but I'm talking about standard sets, how like War of the Spark to Call Time, every single standard set had a I think every single standard set had a card banned in Modern from that era. Some of them, like 3. Ikora and Throne of Eldraine had 3 each. Yuri with the 5 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Complexity seems fine. Strixhaven was the worst. Strixhaven was the worst is interesting. Wait, they also have looting in their deck. Is anything from Call Time played anymore? I'm not sure. Like, Tibble's Trickery and Valky were, like, really busted back then. I don't think there's a lot that was, like, playable in Modern back then that still sees play. Wait, they've been Gorios this whole time? Huh. Okay, I really want to find a Stubborn Denial, so let's give ourselves an extra look here. Can haste that next turn, I guess. Is it weird Gora's decks are not exploring Grixis more? I mean, they are exploring it, I don't know. I guess we saw the Emperor of Bones. Okay, there's Emperor of Bones again. So we do want them to target the Atraxos so we can try to heat it. They target my Phoenix instead. Not that I had to heat up anyways, but now I can't haste my Frog. Well, sometimes they brick on Atraxa. Card Market make an interesting video on Throne of Eldraine. I remember all the points. They pointed out that fire design was explicitly different from intentional power creep. To be honest, I think complexity creep equals fire design. I disagree, I guess. It's like maybe what their terminology for fire design era is different, but and like complexity did increase too, but it was an explicit power level increase starting with War of the Spark. Okay, so they find a Consign, so they get to keep their Atraxa in play, and I think we move on. That was tough. Let's keep this. I have seen Tolarian Academy at home. Seems like mostly a cube commander card. Could weirdly be turn-onable with constructs. Okay, am I interested in playing a hollow one this turn? Discard these 3 to play a hollow one. It might weirdly be the winning line, but I'm not going to do it. You're totally right. There was an intentional jump in power. I think that's separate from fire. Well, that was also the time like the fire design articles came out, and like that was the time where the term fire design became a thing that people talked about. So I don't know. They also have a push. Okay, pretty good turn 2, huh? Oh, sorry. I guess I'm cycling the hollow one, but I did mean to cast the Cecil off the black source. IDK, I felt like card market video explained. Well, yeah, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. And you know, it's okay to disagree on this, but it's also like I'm confused because like the whole fire design like article came out. I think it came out when Throne of Eldraine was released about how they were intentionally increasing power level. And you said also that, yes, there was an explicit increase to power level. So maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, the Matoya brews on the hopper. I haven't been thinking a lot about Matoya. I know, like, we popped off so hard with it the first match we played. Fire and power jump came from different places, set product design. Okay, well, I may have a misunderstanding. Could Frog discard the bird before bestowing? You could, and you would usually want to. The thing is, they have Relic of Progenitus in play. So if we discard the Phoenix, there's a trigger on the stack, or the +1 counter from the Frog is still on the stack. So that gives our opponent a window to respond with the Relic of Progenitus. That we don't want to give them that window. We want to be able to bestow this Phoenix without the Relic being tapped. So they got really punished for not tapping their Relic. It's interesting that they are not solituding me if they have solitude, and it's interesting they're taking this long if they have nothing. I think the chat might be saying that the power increase and fire happened at the same time, but resulted in fire design also being higher power. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that fire design, just all it really was an increase to power level. And fire design was a fun acronym to sell players on it. And so, like, what fire stands for is fun, invitable, replayable, and exciting. Very few of these words, maybe exciting, applies to the cards from the War of the Spark to Kaldheim era. This is just an acronym that didn't really mean anything, and it was a marketing tool. You know, that's my take there. I tried your Aerith Cauldron combo in blue-black Oculus. Okay, this comment is unhinged, and I like it. Card are easy to include. So you're playing Unearth, and then you also have the like Ballista Frog Cauldron synergy. It sounds cool. That is quite a comment. I tried Cauldron Aerith and Blue-Black Frog. Hell yeah. Opponent playing at blistering speed. So they do throw a frog at me. What if they ephemerate this frog? Yeah, Detective's Phoenix of the Nethergoyf seems really powerful. Yeah, between Necro and Relic Ketramos and Psychic Frog, I do think that Detective's Phoenix is like the best card probably to pair with the Nethergoyf, but it might fit in all these strategies. It might surprisingly fit better in one of the other ones. I will say that Guide, Ocelot Pride, and a Johnny, they do really make it where like vanilla two mana creatures, no matter how big they are, can be really unimpactful. So if you give it flying and haste, then you know that can help a lot, obviously. All right, so we've been fatally pushed. Don't love this. I could discard. I think I'm going to discard a Stubborn Denial so that I have Ferocious for this one. Yes, Detective's Phoenix, when you collect evidence, you can exile any number of cards. So you can exile lands even for no value, which is a little weird, but you can do it. So we draw Winternight Stories. Seems like I just want to attack for 6, play Cecil with Stub up. Like Fire Design had more impact on commons and uncommons. That just got bad. Interesting. I feel like for me, like the whole like commons and uncommons being really strong is mostly due to the fact that they don't playtest them for constructed. It feels to me like a lot less intentional. But maybe I'm wrong about that too. All right, well, take your time, opponent. I'm not seeing with Cosmic Wave no evasion. Well, it has evasion if you put a Detective's Phoenix on it. So if you put a Detective's Phoenix on it, you get to exile your entire graveyard, which grows the Goyf. Then it has flying and haste. Isn't it just Tarmogoyf with extra steps? Well, yeah, it's Tarmogoyf that works with cards that Tarmogoyf doesn't work with. And it's also, like, one big thing is it's not like your opponent can put cards back into your graveyard. So Tarmogoyf, it's a Tarmogoyf that isn't weak to cards like Relic. But, yeah, so it's like Goyf can also become a giant creature with Necro. Can become a gigantic creature in a Ketramos Relic shell. It can become a giant creature with Psychic Frog. I agree that giant vanilla creatures aren't very impressive, especially when thinking about Guide Pride and Johnny. Yeah, it also, it's true. It just gets way bigger than Goyf possibly can, too. Yeah, Eldrazi processors. There's a couple ways that are just, not going to happen. Astrolabe was probably the craziest card they printed in the era. That's saying something. Picking Astrolabe over Oko Hogak is Once Upon a Time. Luris is really weird. I don't know. To call it the craziest is it's not the word I would use. Wait, main deck Wrath Disguise? Well, I'm glad I got this freaking Stubborn Denial. Andrew, gift us up to Hinkleberry. Very nice of you. Astrolabe maybe every deck the same. Yeah, I mean, Astrolabe was a big design mistake. It was an awful card, but I don't know. I would just call all those other cards I listed crazier than Astrolabe. Astrolabe was banned in more formats than Luris? That's not true. Luris was banned in Vintage. Luris is a top 10 card all time. Yeah, Luris might be like a top 1 card all time. Maybe not quite that good, but... Alright, let's cast this Winternight Stories. Guess we discard just the Phoenix. Then they're going to have to trade Cecil for the Emperor. Yeah, I think pre-nerf Luris is... okay, no, Contract from Below is still the best Magic card ever. It's better than pre-nerf Luris. It's like what, just 1 mana, draw 7. it's a one-sided Wheel of Fortune for 1 mana. And then it has Ante on it. So yeah, I think that does beat Luris out for as broken as pre-nerf Companion Luris was. All right, let's start off with the Heat. I guess I could go Goyf Flashback Winternight Stories, and then this could Black Lotus. Yes, better. Both of these are better than Black Lotus. I think pre-nerf Luris and Contract from Below are both better. Contract from Below just definitely better than Black Lotus. This is something the YouTube shorts don't tell you, but there is a better card printed in Alpha than Black Lotus. Winternight Stories is so good. So I guess I have to Heat before I bestow the second Phoenix. How does Ante works? It's like, so whoever wins the game that you're playing gets to keep all the Ante cards. Yeah, so Contract for Below, so remove if you're not playing for Ante. This, what doesn't affect the gameplay of the card. Discard your hand, Ante the top card of your library, draw 7 cards. It is a 1 mana, one-sided Wheel of Fortune. It not only removes the biggest downside to Wheel of Fortune. Wait, they discard Ephemerate? Oh, I don't have Delirium. Duh. Sorry, I lost Delirium because I graveyarded this. So if I bestow this Phoenix here, this has 2 damage on it. Yeah, I think we just rescinding. Like this is, yes, this is stronger than Black Lotus. Like, like some people talk about Recall maybe being better than Wait, this weirdly worked out better for me because I didn't have Delirium. I guess if they have another copy of Ephemerate, they can go fly, block, Ephemerate, and then discard their entire hand to kill me. Instead, they skip through their blocker step. They didn't take their time. I'm interested in the first Vexing Bauble, maybe for Solitude and Ephemerate. The thing is, they also have these Wraths and stuff. Maybe I just want to bring in Thoughtseizes instead. Yeah, and then I guess I also want to cut all the Goyfs against the Relic deck. So maybe I play... I don't know if I want to 1/1. Some people think Soul Ring's better than Lotus. I think in Cube it is. I mean, it's also playable in Commander, which is nice. Bazaar might be better than Recall because you get a 4 of it. Well, that is a way it's better, I guess. But if If you could have 4 recall, it would be better than Bazaar. Do high rollers still play for ante with real alpha cards? I've never heard of that. I'm sure there's 2 or 3 unhinged players still playing for ante out there. So they do have the turn 1 relic. I think I'm just gonna hold up the stub here, or slash veil. About power play, I think Contract for Blow is better than power play. I also think Backup Plan is better than power play. We used to draft a vintage cube that had the conspiracies in them, so Backup Plan and power play, and I would usually take Backup Plan over Black Lotus, and I would take power play over Black Lotus, and I would take Backup Plan over power play. Was my usual ranking. There's a case for Lurrus to be the strongest card because it's the only card ever to be banned from vintage for power level reasons. That's actually not true. They used to ban... I know Time Vault has been banned in vintage. Why is power play so first? You always get to... What? Okay, so power play. It's so maybe you don't know. Conspiracies are not cards that you draw and you play. Conspiracies they just happen. They cost you no card in your hands. You just have to draft them, and it's just says you get to be on the play. That's pretty good. It's just like a free. It's a free like plus 3 percentage points to your win percentage. That doesn't cost you a card in your hand. Yeah. Just every game, as long as it's in your deck, you are just on the play. And Backup Plan is a free mulligan. You get to look at 2 7-card hands, and you get to pick one of them. I think that one is better than power play. The shame land here. I think I am going to play Winternight. Yeah, if both players have power play, then you roll. That's how we ruled it. It's the only way to stop a bad guy with a power play is a good guy with a power play. Okay, so they Boggart Troll me. So I can try to go looting... Hollow 1 flashback Winternight Stories. Can I Thoughtseize first? So 1. It looks like I can because this is going to cost 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Glad I countered that high noon. Okay, well that's an easy choice. Maybe I hold the Winternight Stories. If they pop the Relic Days, that's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna cast this off the swamp, and I'll cast Unholy Heat if they pop the Relic. They catch most Relic and didn't do it. Yeah, I don't know. they're playing super slow. They don't seem very experienced. It is what it is. What is the best way to attack Esper, Ketchamos, Black-White Ketchamos, Wazoo? Have a Leyline Scion is the best way. Have it. Could play a Torpor Orb. There's also sometimes you play the you just main deck that Torpor Orb creature to combo off with your Phlages and your Null Drifters. Those builds are probably better. Oh right. Okay, well, good news is I can heat the frog. The bad news is we're probably going to have to go to game 3 anyways. Yeah, Conspiracy was really fun. We drafted a lot of it back in the day. Why didn't we heat? Well, we did heat. We just held it up. Why would you want to main phase the heat on the Trawler? Well, it was a mistake to board in that second Thoughtseize. The first one was correct to bring in. This one was a mistake. Alright, they call them Solo Them Cecil. So they can hit me for 6 down to 5. I attack with Cecil. I go down to 3. And then I die to the Wisp if I don't draw anything. Maybe I could draw a Phoenix and then like bestow second main phase. That could work. Oh, that could work too. So they want to trade instead. Can work with that, maybe, maybe not. Alright, let's go to game 3. I was putting together your mono red K command list. I noticed there was really anything I could put in the sideboard for Zoo. Yeah, mono red answers to Leyline Scion's pretty narrow. There's got to be some kind of, there's got to be like a sacrifice an artifact card, which is like, that's pretty shitty. What happens when you bestow onto Cecil and then flip them? So the Phoenix stays on the Cecil. You take 4 damage to the Cecil trigger instead of 2, which is why I would want a Phoenix second main phase to take 2 less. How good has Cecil been so far? Cecil is, in my opinion, a modern staple. We played it in a lot of decks, and like every deck we played it in has had a winning record. We were 10-1 with the Rakdos build. It's like, in my opinion, I've been saying this all day, but probably should keep this, huh? Don't know what land I would get. Probably Blood Crypt. Upside's pretty high. Downside's, I think downside's too. I'm going to mulligan. Look a little better. It's like, it's the DRC to the Ragavan. It's the Ocelot Pride to the Guide of Souls. It is the second best 1-mana creature that allows you to build these Nethergoyf, these aggressive Nethergoyf decks that you just couldn't. Okay, bottom to Cecil, drew a Cecil. That otherwise you just couldn't build these builds. If I had 1 more mana value, I guess that I could still bestow the Phoenix. Hopefully they don't have turn 1 Relic all 3 games. Nice, they don't. Okay, that would have been nice to draw last turn. Beggars can't be choosers. So next turn I want to probably go Frog, Phoenix on the Frog. So we want the land. So we do this. Cast the Hollow One. As far as I can tell, Structural Collapse is the only red card that makes someone's second artifact at 7 mana. That's pretty brutal. You can play Shadow Spear, but Shadow Spear doesn't really do it. Yeah. It's tough. Got the Graveyard of Swamp. If they play a Frog, they'll have 6 cards in their hand. Aaron with the 32 months. Thank you. Welcome back. It's been a minute. I needed to break away. Hope things are well. Things are well. Sounds very serious, but I'm glad you're back. It's okay. You need to take a break. So I guess I'm hasting Cecil instead of Frog now. Am I attacking with Hollow One? I don't think so. I think I'd rather attack once I've got the Cecil giving my stuff indestructible. Don't know if should I block with the Cecil? We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. Alright, so they're down to 12. I'm at 10. I have a 6/6 flying, life-linking blocker. Yeah, I do like this one more than the Steel Cutter one. I kind of started off that shell and scrapped it for this. Steel Cutter was cool. It's just like you have to play Asmo to support the Mox Opals. I didn't like the Asmos, and it felt tough to have like the density of enablers for Steel Cutter. Yeah, the Death Touch on Cecil is really, really big deal. We're about to be up a full 10 minutes on the clock, I think. Why do you think Black, White, Blue has been having such an uptick lately? I mean, has it? I've been seeing a little bit of it, I guess. Maybe if it has been having a big uptick, it's not really something I'm super aware of, I guess. They flicker the Phoenix. Interesting. It's there, you know. It is a deck that people play. So they can make this a 6-power creature still. Let me tell you a story. Interesting. So I could discard 2 cards, and I could cast a hollow one. I think instead we'll discard a hollow one, and we will. Oh, actually, I guess I have already discarded one, so I could just still play this. I think I'd rather. So if I Thoughtseize my opponent, then the biggest they can make this is 5 power, which still blocks my Cecil. It's a weird hand. I feel like we have to take the Emperor of Bones. How cold are we to High Noon? I feel like we're pretty cold to it. The Emperor is also really going to be tough to beat. We can try to play through it. If I attack with the Cecil, my opponent has to discard 3 of their cards. And I lose the Cecil, gain 4. Yeah, their hand just kind of sucks, so they'll definitely do that, I guess. Winternight Stories is my favorite card from Dragonstorm. Loved it in Josuke Okura. Hollow one was cool with the 2. Yeah, these brews are pretty cool. Glad you're liking them. No, they're not Gorios. They're like Esper Ketramos. Very tense game. They do have a lot to think about, but it always feels bad to have opponents that are this slow. Did I see Dingo Seth Brood Scale thoughts? I've seen it. I think it's pretty solid. He's been winning a lot with it. I think the deck's good. So their hand is 2 frogs, a High Noon, and a Delta. I really doubt they're going to settle on frog plus High Noon because it makes this frog too small. They can only discard 2 cards to it. I tried the Golgari Brood skill list, but it felt like they kept fighting against themselves. That's interesting. They do play the Delta. Then they go to combat. They say no spells played. Okay, and I draw the best possible, so that rules. What do we want to do with the best possible? So if I put this on a Cecil, my opponent blocks, they cannot kill the Cecil, so I could put this on the Cecil, attack with everything. The problem with that is maybe being dead on the backswing if my opponent has a Fatal Push, although I would have at least this as a blocker, so I wouldn't just be dead to this. Is it good for me to flashback the looting first? It doesn't seem like there's much downside to it. I feel like jump attack with Cecil to get in for quite a bit of damage, getting 4, and their land discarded was worth there. Maybe. I don't exactly agree, but we're here, I guess. All right, so I discard the Phoenix and then the looting, I think. I guess I could have just kept the looting. No, never mind. If I could either cast looting for 1 mana, but then I lose this. So I do think I'm going to put this here. Because by putting this on the Cecil, if they have push, they could do this now, and I still get... then I get to know they have it, otherwise I get the blocker back. This does mean I can't really play this hollow one unless combat goes well for me, because... then I'm dead to the Wisp on the backswing. Unless I leave this back. Could leave this back. Yeah, let's leave the Detective's Phoenix back, I think. So my opponent's hand is High Noon Frog Mystery card. We're discarding 3. Oh, yeah, that's true. I could just discard Crypto Frog and cast the hollow one. That would work. All right, nice 30-minute match. We do emerge victorious. A lot of they definitely have like a ton of decisions every round, but it took forever. The thing is, like they pass without playing a spell. So I felt like if they had nothing, we were winning, and if they had drew a removal spell, I wanted to just kind of play more cautiously. But I don't know that was right. It didn't exactly feel like they drew something, but again, if they just drew nothing, then we were chilling. Okay, I might just like triple Marco Sharko into Frog and discard my hand. That'd be kind of a fun game. Although that might play into K return. So we're playing through the breach. They play a Palantir. I will take the damage. We take 3. But we deny them drawing stock up. Yeah, I mean, seems like I'm just in on the sharks here. I think this now that we did do an Emrakul, we can't take the damage anymore. Hopefully they don't have K return, or we could draw another Street Wraith. Okay, not quite that lucky. I think we have lethal next turn. We could discard 4 frogs, so cards to frogs, so these will all have 6 power. They're at 18, yeah, so we do have lethal if they have nothing. And I'm not one to call stock up nothing, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat us here. Shadowless Shadow, yeah, I guess so. It's more so that like Shadow is just really out of date, and now Cecil is the new premier black 1-mana threat in combination with Goyf. So yes, you may draw a card. I'm not a big Palantir fan, unfortunately. Just don't think the card's very good. You can draw a card here. If the frog resolves, can we play around Dismember? I think we can. So, no, they have Snare. Oh no, dude. Snare is such a disaster. Stock. How could I trash talk the stock up? All right, so this is their Through the Breach turn, maybe. Tap Steam Vents. And they pass the turn. Again, it's just very easy for us to die to this Palantir, so we have to let them draw a card. The thing is, they're probably just drawing a big Emrakul, right? So, could a land be helpful? What could we Stubborn Denial? K command? I think I do this. Damn. I think I tap out. Alright, GG. Cool game. Was not expecting to lose to the Snare there. I'm going to bring in the Consigns and the Thoughtseizes. We're going to cut all the copies of Unholy Heat. I want to go down 1 Winternight Stories in these kind of matchups where it's hard to tap out for. I might cut a Shark since I cut a Winternight. These are also like just weaker to the K returns in general. I might trim a Phoenix. Phoenixes are just so good. I think trimming 1's okay. Zemo with the 16 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Okay, we're on the play. I think we have to mulligan this 1-lander. I think we have to keep this 1-lander. I should probably put back one of the 1-mana creatures. I think with Frog and Wraith, the 1-mana creature I put back should be the Goyf. I think I can just go Blood Crypt, Shark here. And if I draw a land, then we can try to go Frog, discard maybe at least one thing. You have Chalice? Okay, Talisman. We're going to wait till our turn for the Wraith, obviously, because of Hollow 1. Might just double Thoughtseize even if I draw the land, though. Okay, no choice, just Thoughtseize. Huh. You have 2? Well, I guess I made a mistake by not Thoughtseizing the Talisman or the Emrakul on turn 1. 2 K commands. So they probably K command my Shark, and then they Scry draw. And then we presumably get to Thoughtseize the Palantir, and then we're probably in pretty okay shape. I guess they have the snares for the frog. I guess I have 2 frogs. Stock up. I feel like I can't let them have stock up or Palantir. That's the problem. I guess I take the Palantir. My hand's just too slow. I usually don't care that much about this card. We just didn't find the second land. I'm surprised I didn't play Palantir. I would always play the K command there. Especially against the missed land drop. And like you're missing the land drop. So they find the land. Oh, they're not holding up the snare. Okay. Did not. If I draw a blue sorcerer frog, we're in pretty good shape, and if we don't, we're gonna lose. And they're keeping us in suspense with this upkeep stop, and it's the lose option, unfortunately. All right, I think that matchup is probably solid, but what can you do? So we're going to lead probably on Watery Grave Cecil, since another Fetch Shock will let us flip Cecil turn 2. And then we want to wait on the Wraith for the hollow one. More Eldrazi. Okay, my backup deck's pretty good against the Eldrazi decks. Oh, it's the same Through the Breach build. I'm glad that the Through the Breach builds of Eldrazi are popping up. Not only I think are they like more fun gameplay than normal Eldrazi, but I think they've been underrated for a little while. We do get to retest the matchup, which is fun. They've got another Talisman. They've got 2 cards in their hand after this. Probably just gotta play this Sharks, get the Street Wraith value on it. Killjoy plays Spicy Mono Blue. Okay, maybe I'm wrong then. Unfortunately, we don't get to quite flip the Cecil. We played Mono Blue yesterday with Factor Fiction and Emrakul. I guess they could be playing this build. Maybe casting a Null Drifter, Devour or something. Oh, Time Warp. Okay, they're playing our Time Warp list, or maybe something similar. It doesn't have to be our list. Did I see Emerald Caller Zealot? No, but I also thank you for linking. So nice to get linked to the cards. Sack another creature or artifact, surveil 1 for 2 mana. So drew 3 with a Lore Revealed and passed. Okay, next turn we can pop off pretty hard, but it's not next turn yet. So sacking artifacts is pretty interesting. There are not too many good artifact sack outlets. I've had a Marionette Apprentice and Disciple of the Vault like sack a bunch of artifacts deck for a while. Like I've been like trying to figure that out. And like kind of the biggest chokehold there is the lack of a good artifact sack outlet. I don't know that I'm convinced that this is a good artifact sack outlet, and there's kind of a lot of structural problems with building a deck like that anyways that this doesn't necessarily address, but I think I'm not going to play this second Shark. But overall, this does look pretty interesting. Okay, not great draws. I need to discard a hollow one for Delirium also, which doesn't feel great. So let's go heat this. I could flashback the Winternight, and then I could, I guess attacking is obviously good, but this is a lot more efficient to do. So I get pretty punished for not playing the other Sharks, but my draws are pretty bad. I don't need to discard 2 cards, but I think just discarding 2 cards to grow both of my creatures is pretty upside. If I had found that Phoenix, we might have been killing them this turn, but a little too deep in the deck maybe. They put the Null Drifter in their hand. We're not very scared of this Null Drifter. So yeah, this card's interesting. It's probably not going to do anything, but it's definitely the kind of card you need to know exists. Edge of Eternity is looking still very, very exciting. Oh, I haven't seen this. This card kind of has caught my eye here. 2 mana, 3/2, Trample Haste, cannot be countered. Creature spells can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. Huh, that card is kind of crazy. All right, can I bestow 2 Phoenixes? I can bestow 2 Phoenixes. So is it just easy? Bestow there. Oh, they have the Tamio. Do I want to flip the Cecil? Yeah, it seems like bestowing on the Cecil is right, so I can have the blocker on the untap. Okay, I think that's just a little bit of escape value there. All right, so bestow here. 1, 2. I guess I'll probably actually exile the Goave because I think I have another Cecil in the yard. Never mind. So this is going to put me to 1 on the transform, but not a big difference between being at 1 and 0 here. Oh, they go to 1 also. I guess that was the downside for going to Cecil. I thought that they would block like for sure, but maybe they also can't really combo off with the Tamiyo because they get the block. Maybe they just need the card. Maybe they have like another Devourer. They evoke the Null Drifter to flip the Tamiyo. Okay, I guess that works too. So if they have a Time Warp, they can kind of pop off actually, huh? Thanks, Draven. I'm thinking about slowly buying Titan. You think it would be playable if I started with everything except Scapeshift? Scapeshift is really important for like the current build, so it'd be kind of weird to play a build without it, but you can play it. Like there's been plenty of builds without Scapeshift that have done well. Should have been looking at these spoilers while we had some of the slow players. I didn't realize there were so many new ones out there. Cosmogrand Zenith. 3 mana, 2/4. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create 2 tokens or put a counter on each creature you control. Oh, we win. That card kind of rules. I don't know if it's... 4 toughness is a really big deal. Corey Steel at home. We just play it with Corey Steel Cutter. I think we do this. Yeah, I like this Consult the Stars card. It's like a Pillage the Bog in blue, kind of. Really interested to see how the stations will play. Oh, Ugin's Labyrinth imprintable. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. Rounded up is a very weird line of text to have on that effect. Because, like, is there a format with the starting life total that's odd? Alright, so I'm going to go Thoughtseize into Looting Hollow One. So you can't die at 1. Well, no, it's... Your life total becomes half your starting life total. So it's I got 25 and 2 out of Giant. That's cool. Didn't know that. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, make a colorless artifact token, name munitions with this token, use the battlefield, do damage to any target. That card's actually really interesting. That's definitely a me brew around card. Alright, so we're going to cast the Looting. We want to get a blue source this turn, so we have the possibility of drawing another blue source to play Frog with Consign up next turn. Otherwise, we can go Frog Cecil, maybe. Okay, that did pay off. I guess we could have bestowed onto the Frog if we discarded the Cecil, but seems better just to hold up the Consign, right? Don't want to get Thoughtseize bugged on the K command. There's a card that makes your starting life total 27. It makes your starting life total 27? I thought it just gained you 7. That's pretty interesting. I guess I have to discard the Consign to be able to... I probably don't want to do that. I think we just attack. Like we have him dead next turn. That's really interesting that it changes the quality of your starting life total. Ooh. Okay, well, I guess no more decisions this turn. I guess could have held up Replicated Consign, but I think this is going to be better. Shape anew with the station board wipe. Oh, right. I shape anew, new big artifacts. I say this every set. Shape anew, like the shell exists, but there's nothing good to cheat into play. Is this going to be good to cheat into play? Yeah, this one, destroys a non-creature permanent, so it can kill a land and then 4 damage to each creature. I don't know if that's going to be better than the Portal to Phyrexia, but you can also charge this up. Good at multiples also, or like it's like more Stone Rains. Land destruction is definitely like something you're looking for on this kind of effect because you want it to be good against everything, if that makes sense. But yeah, also like there's that other 7-drop you might play in a Shape a New deck. Oh, Arch Enemy's Charm, cool. Hold on, let me consign this. Well, I guess I just haste this, actually. So I've discarded 1 card this turn, right? This costs... Oh, I've discarded 0. Alright, pass back. Alright, very excited to read Arch Enemy's Charm. Okay, exile creature, planeswalker. Return 1 or 2 creature and or planeswalkers. Why isn't this up to 2? Why is it 1 or 2? Why is it not up to 2? Up to 2. I guess it's only 1 less letter. Creature, planeswalkers from graveyard to hand. 2 counters on target creature, gain lifelink till end of turn. No! A miracle! Yeah, good with Grieve. So you can't accidentally grab 0 on Arena. Okay. I think it's fine. I just want to understand why they're templated this way, you know? Alright, we'll see if they can pop off. Yeah, I don't know. There are some mono black decks. I don't know. That doesn't super seem like it'll be a big deal. I do like the charms. It's cool. So we're missing red and white still, right? Ooh, Sire. Can I beat a Sire? So everything has indestructible. They're going to block my biggest thing, which is this frog. And then I deal 12. Yeah, they're dead. Consign life gain trigger. It's lifelink. There's no trigger. Okay. So 3-2 this league. Nothing too crazy, but I feel like it's a nice little archetype here. Just want to kind of explore all the different ways to build Cecil. I did like this build a lot. It was nice in testing too. But I want to pivot over to the backup deck because I had this ready for yesterday. We didn't get around to it yesterday, and this one's been weird because it has